Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building the Back to the Future DeLorean. This is going to be episode number 14. We're going to be putting the right wheel axle on the tire. As you can see, I've got 3 wheels so far. So this episode we're going to be putting the remaining section here, and then we'll be adding the wheel the following week. So let's get cracking. This is going to be basically the exact same parts that we had from 2 episodes ago. We're just doing the other side of the car. For those of you following along on this build, I had a terrible time with that one. I'm really hoping that this one goes a little bit smoother. Here's the steps, probably going to be pretty much exactly the same. More production diary stuff. Basically just talking about scenes that worked on in the movie. Had some stunt stuff going on there. Ooh, stuff about outfits used in the movie. That should be a good read. And one of everyone's favorite scenes is playing Johnny Be Good. And then, of course, next episode is going to be the tire, as I mentioned earlier. So, let's get going. Really hoping for an easy build this week. But, you know what they say about wishing in one hand and doo-dooing in the other. Anyway, I've got my tweezers and both my screwdrivers like I have for every build. So let's get started. We're going to have this piece, same thing that we did a couple weeks back, along with this piece. So I guess the good news is I pretty much know how this is going to go together at this point. So hopefully that will mean less frustration and heartache in this episode. Although most of my issues are with the frickin' screws. So that's not really going to go away anytime soon, unfortunately. So we're putting this on with 2 cm screws. It is very nice that they always add a few extra screws with each issue. I've been collecting those in case something goes wrong. I would encourage you to do the same. So I'm going to be using screwdriver number 1 for these because these are pretty small. These are going to be cm screws. And again, since I'm already pretty familiar with what we're going to be doing here, I'm just going to screw these in nice and tight right off the bat. I don't see any reason at all why the right side of the car would be vastly different from the left side of the car. So I'm just going to do everything that I've already done, and hopefully we can just fly through this issue and then get the wheel put on there and then move on to more interesting things. Okay, so there's that piece, and then that piece that I had a difficult time with a couple episodes ago, only this time I know how it's supposed to look. So, got those 2 pieces there. Gonna need an EM screw. Last time I had a terrible time getting that screw in there. We'll see if this one is a little bit more cooperative. Seems like these EM screws really just don't want to screw into anything, because these are the same ones that are used for the wheels, which is why I was having problems with the wheels a couple issues ago. Okay, so this piece is going to go in there like that, and then the EM screw is going to go in to hold it in place. So let's just see how much of a hard time I have with this one. I'm guessing more of the same headaches. Okay, well, it is going in. Last week I had to put a ton of pressure on this one to get in there properly. So I'm going to leave camera for a minute and do the same. Since I already know that this one is going in there correctly, I'm just really going to cram it down good so that we don't have any more problems. Really, really don't like these EM screws. Alright, got that on there nice and snug. So that's what we got so far for step 2. And step 3, we are putting it on the car, so we're going to want to, I believe, it went on right here. Now we've got the other side to look at, so that's very helpful as well. So, just like before, we've got this little nub in here. Now we've got 2 holes here. One nubbin goes into one hole, and a screw goes in the other. And it's going to be a BM screw. Got that. And again, since I'm pretty confident we're doing this correctly, I'm going to get that one in there nice and tight. Alrighty. Well, felt tight, but obviously it's not. Still not tight. Always something with these screws. Alright, there we go. Finally. Get it a little bit more tight if you can. There we go. Okay. Now, use another one of our lovely EM screws. We're going to take this thing, just like we did a couple episodes ago. It's going to go right here, like so. And then we're going to be driving a screw through there. So let's get the EM1 on first, since we all know how that's going to go. Okay, well, I was able to get it in place with my hand, even though it wasn't screwed in straight, and then simply unscrewed it and rescrewed it in using the screwdriver. And that seemed to be more effective than what I had been doing. So at least there's that. Okay, I'm going to need to give this at least a little bit of wiggle room so that I can get the other screws in there. Okay, next one is going to be an HM screw. It's going to connect these two pieces right here. Boy, those don't want to line up very well. Hopefully when I get the screw in there, they will. Okay, so that needs an HM screw. Might need to actually loosen that EM screw that I just put in a little bit in order to get this one in, but we'll see. Okay, try and get these lined up. Screw this one in very slowly, I think. All right. I think we got it lined up. It feels like the screw's going in a little bit easier. Again, it's hard to get leverage without worrying about breaking one of these pieces. At least none of the pieces are plastic. One thing about this model, it's all metal and rubber. I think the only plastic pieces I've seen so far are the hubcaps for the tires. Oh, and I think the drive shaft up front might be plastic. But yeah, other than that, this thing is super heavy duty. And a really, really nice model. The nicest I've ever seen. I hear that Eagle Moss has a couple of other models out there, like the Millennium Falcon and the Batmobile from 1966, and a few others. Based on my misfortunes with this one so far, this will probably be the only one that I do, in spite of how awesome it is. I'm just not very good at this sort of thing, and it gets frustrating. I wish I was better at it. Okay, so next one is going to be the wheel, or the disc brake rather. We're going to get that, and this piece here. That's going to go together with an AP screw. Another super duper itty bitty screw. So we need to make sure that I'm putting this on correctly. Looks like that's coming in from the back side. And then we've got, again, these two little nubbins here that line up with those holes there. we go. Got to snap into place. And then we're going to drive the screw in. Again, my favorite thing. Messing around with these screws. Okie dokie, here we go. Okay, that's in there. Done with that step. Now, if you recall, this step last time really porked us because somebody wasn't thinking ahead. So, I'm going to remedy that this time. Got this piece again here, and we've got an IM screw. Nice long IM screw. That's going to go in there. And then I'm going to add the spring like I should have done ahead of time last time. So yeah, it is the exact same thing. So let's check the other side here. That's going to go basically right here. So we've got a whole bunch of things happening here at once. First off, we've got the wheel. So these hinges line up with these hinges right here. So all 5 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, need to line up. Which clearly is going to be easier than it sounds. Because it doesn't look like... Looks like I'm going to need to bend these pieces a little bit to make them line up the way that I want them to. And in addition to that headache, we've got this to add on to the end. So let me see if I can just get this hooked into the magnet where it's supposed to go. Turn the car on its side here. And then try and drive it in from this angle here. All while trying to get this to line up with this hole here, in addition to the headache with the spring. Now, let me see if I can make this happen. Alright, we got those lined up. So I'm going to screw this in just a little and then push down on the spring and get it through the hole. Surprisingly, looks like that went together pretty easily. Oh, get this screw nice and tight. Alright, screw is tight. We've got all this lined up here, and we've got this lined up with the hole. So again, like I did a couple weeks back, I'm just going to push the spring through. Hopefully that shows up on camera, and then drive the screw through there, which I'm assuming is what's going to be our next step. So we finished with this step, and that step. So yeah, we're driving that in. I guess that's one step on its own because I'm not seeing a screw there. And there's the screw. So, and naturally, it's an EM screw. My favorite. So, now we're going to need to push up on this spring. So that we can get that spoke to stick up out the hole. Like that. And then we need to get the EM screw fastened on top of it. Which looks like it's going to be all sorts of fun. Okay, I was able to get it going with my hands. Which should make life a little bit easier there. Again, a tremendous amount of pressure to get these EM screws to cooperate. All right, and there it is. Okay, what do we got going on next? Ah, yes, we've got that little metal piece that got all sorts of weird on us a couple weeks back. Still don't really know what these are for, so now we're just going to have two of them floating around. And those are going to be put on with a BM screw. There's our BM screw. And this pretty much goes on one way. Get that. And the screw goes in there. And we tighten it down. Now, a couple weeks ago in the last issue, I pointed out that because of the angle on this thing, it makes it very difficult to get any kind of leverage to get this thing tightened. What I did with the previous one is I actually used a pair of pliers, and I was able to apply the pressure that way, and that ended up working. So that's probably what I'm going to do with this one off screen, because I have no pliers at the moment. And then we just put the so we need to turn that around. There we go. There's the spring. And we are done, folks. Next issue, we're going to be putting that tire on, and then this thing's actually going to have 4 wheels. And then we'll be rolling. Ba-dum-bum. Oh, anyway, thanks for sticking with me with that, guys. That one was quite a bit easier. So putting it together the second time does help. But take care, guys. See you next episode.